rātou I te timatanga o tō tātou hui. Just like to greet everyone at the commencement of this hui. Tuatahi kia rātou mā kua wihi atu ki te pō. Like to greet those, acknowledge those that have passed on in our community during these times. Nō reira, rātou kia rātou, haere, haere, haere atu rā. Haere kia rātou o mātou tūpuna, haere ki te kāhui o ngārangi, rātou kia rātou. Tuarua, kia rātou o te mana o tēnei whenua, ara ko Turangi-Tongariro. As we acknowledge those that have passed on, we pay tribute to their mahi and bid them farewell to their ancestors. Also acknowledge the mana whenua, Turangi-Tongariro, and nō reira, ki te tae tino ki tēnei whenua waipapa, to these lands of waipapa. Tae tino ki te iwi o Tūwharetoa, to the tribal lands of Tūwharetoa, to the lands of this township, waipapa. Te papa wai o tō tātou kui maunga pihanga. The land waters of pihanga of this township. We acknowledge the aspects, the landscapes, our waters that flow. Ngā wai I runga I te awa o Tongariro. Ngā wai u e kotahi ai ki enei ngā awa kia kotahi ai tātou I runga I tēnei o tō tātou nei iwi, tō tātou nei hapu, tō tātou nei hāpuri. It gives the essence of life, the waters, our maunga, e tū mai nei, to all that surround us, to take care of us in this time. It's our landscapes that provide us that support, that nurturing support of our kui maunga pihanga, tae tino ki ngā hau o Tūnono, to the winds of Tūnono, the father of Turangi-Tongariro that blows down, that binds us together. Hei tū hikitia, hei tū hapainga, to support and empower us as we go out through our hui today. Nō reire, runga e rā ngā kōrero, tēnei te mihi ki a tātou, I runga I tēnei wahanga o te wiki o te reo Māori, ka tika, ka mihi, kia rere tō tātou reo, ka ora ai tō tātou reo, kia ora ai tātou katoa. Through the language, our Māori language week, also at this time, it's important that we make that may continue to flow from our mouths. Ka mōhio ai ngā wāhi tapu, that we know the sacred spots, our sacred landscapes, our street names that are in te reo Māori, that are in the words of this landscape. Nō reira, rātou kia rātou. Our tūpuna, our ancestors that have left us knowledge, it's important that we continue to speak that language of this land. Nō reira, tae tino ki ngā kaimahi o te hāpuri, ngā kaimahi hauora. I'd like to particularly acknowledge the workers in our community, our health workers, pihanga health, Tūwharetoa health, ngā rāua tahi, hei mahi, hei haumaru, who look after us at this time and providing essential services for us. Tae tino ki a rātou, e mahi, ngā mahi o tō tātou taone, patuahi ai, pirihi mana ai, tākuta ai, our essential services, our police force, our fire brigade, our ambulance, they provide the service for us during this time. Nō reira, hoi anō ki ngā kaimahi o te Kaunihera, the workers of our of the District Council, tēnei te mihi ki a ratou, our workers, also acknowledge them for the work that they do during this time of lockdown 4, lockdown 3 now. Nō reira, tātou ki a tātou, te mea nui, kia ora ai tātou, ai e ngā kōrero o tā hepi te heo he oranga o tātou katoa i roto te rohe o tūwhare toa. I conclude the mihi with a whakatauki from Hepi Te Heo, who said that the well-being for all those that reside in the rohe o tūwhare toa. Nō reira, tātou ki a tātou, tēnei te mihi, tai tino ki a koe te tiamana, ai tuku wā mō tēnei te reo mihi i tēnei wā. Just acknowledge the chair for giving this opportunity, a small time to briefly mihi in te reo Māori. Nō reira ki a koe, kore e ware ngā wā ka tupu au ki te kura o Turangi. I recall the times at Turangi Primary, and our chair, Mr. Green, was all part of that kura, and I was fortunate to be part of the first bilingual unit, and so it's good to just say a mihi in te reo. So just like to acknowledge you, Chair, for allowing the small time. Generally we'll just be staying in te reo, but because our translators aren't with us today, it's bilingual. Nō reira, tēnei te mihi kia koe te tiamana, ko koe whakawātea ai tēnei te wahanga hei kōrero ai i roto te reo. Nō reira, i runga e era o ngā mihi, on all those acknowledgements and greetings, kia tīmata ai tō tātou hui. We'll now begin our hui with a karakia. Nō reira, i o nui i o roa i o matua, tēnei mātou hei inoi ki a koe. Tu wheraaitia i ngā rangi tū hāhā ki te tiki o rangi. Ke era o ngā tohu o ngā rangi o Tangaroa, tae tino ki a tātou e ke panuku e ke Tangaroa ki runga i tēnei whenua waipapa ki tō tātou hāpuri o Turangi tukua, o Turangi-Tongariro. Nō reira, tēnei mātou e inoi ki a koe hei timatai, hei tūperai tō tātou hui, i roto te ingoa tai tama i karaiti ake, āmene.
Āmene. Kia ora te takinga, ngā mihi nui ki a koe, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou. Welcome to our unusual meeting by Zoom. I'm not a great fan of Zoom meetings, but it's good to see everybody there. Just acknowledge all the board members that have managed to come on, and also the staff members that are present, and anybody from the public. I see Stevens present from Whareroa. Welcome to all of you. I'd like to begin now with our whakaponopore apologies, and just acknowledge that our newest elected member, Paula, is in hospital. She had open heart surgery yesterday.
Did anybody else just lose the chair?
Yeah, he dropped totally out of the
There he is.
Yeah.
There he is.
I just disappeared off screen. I don't know what happened. My crazy internet. Okay, so yeah, Paula's still in hospital, and I got an update from Donna, who says she's still asleep, hasn't woken up. She came out of surgery yesterday, and she's making slow progress by the sound of things. So, our thoughts and prayers go out to her. Are there any other apologies? No. Will someone move that the apology be accepted, please?
Chair, happy to move that, but I just note that we've still got board member Rob still trying to get in. So
yeah, thank you.
So maybe we just note for delay
for lateness.
Yep, but happy to move.
Thanks.
Can sorry, you finished
Yes,
your
sorry,
process. Tong, did you want me to share the agenda on screen? You just queried whether I could share the agenda on screen, Tom?
Somebody.
Oh, no,
said yes.
sorry. No, that was just through the chair, that was just noting that Rob still can't connect.
I think it was Te Takinga, John, has asked
Oh, was
in
it?
the chat box.
Te
Can you
Takinga asked.
share the agenda?
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. Everybody in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That's agreed. Carried. Any conflicts of interest? No conflicts of interest. We'll move on. Thank you to the minutes. And I'm going to take it that the minutes have been read. Are there any matters that people want to discuss from those minutes? Someone move.
Second,
Thank you. Who was that?
George.
George second, or George moved?
I'll move that one, Clint.
Thanks, George. I'm losing my visual contact here. Sorry if I'm. There we go. Okay, so George, and second was.
Yeah,
I'll second you. Oh,
Thank you,
well, John.
Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. We'll move through to our reports and begin with 4.1, which is current action points.
Okay, so the only update on that is the alleyways. So we agreed that a review will be done by one of our community team. So I think with what's gone recently, that's sort of slowed it down, but hopefully by the next meeting, we'll be able to have an update on the SIPTED assessment, which we agreed to carry out. But apart from that, it's as read.
Any questions there for John? Any comments? Okay. Somebody move that we receive that report, please. Yep, Tom. And second. Haven't got everybody on my screen.
Yeah, I'll second it.
If you could just say your name.
John Mack.
Yep, thank you. Everybody in favour? Yep. Okay, thank you. Move on to 4.2, which is the proposal that you see on your screen now. I'm hoping you've all had a chance to have a good read through this proposal, and I'd like to invite. Did you say it's not Gemma?
Gemma.
It is.
Gemma. Thank you, Karen.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Apologies for not the lateness. Hopefully you will have received via email an attachment which provides hopefully some clarification of a few things there. But I was also looking at the report, and if it's all right, I'll just walk you through a couple of the things. So the terminology, somehow some technology challenges for me in respect of my report. The terminology should actually say for a proposed change in classification or partial change in classification of the local purpose reserve. So it's not reclassification, it's change in classification or change in purpose, sorry. So yeah, my apologies for everyone on that space, but just sort of starting with that, if it's all right with you, we'll just basically start with the rundown. That this is something that's come about from an analysis of a prospective water upgrade process at Whareroa and the treatment plant that is down there. So the site analysis work is being undertaken by one of our a contractor, one of the engineers, and they've looked at all of the number of sites within the Whareroa community and gone through a couple of scenario assessments. But basically what's been suggested in this paper talks about the partial change in purpose of the local purpose reserve in relation to options 1 and 2 that are on that image there. So that will enable the things like our public toilets, our existing water pump station and wastewater infrastructure that's all on there to be on the correct classification of proposed reserve if there's an agreement in principle to that. So what would then happen is that we publicly consult on it for a month, and from there take back the report, and with the hearings come through to yourselves for consideration and up to recommendation to council. So if it's all right, I'll share screen and I'll show you what my tidy resolution should be reflected as. Sorry, is that all right?
Yep.
Let's see if I can work that out. So it's just highlighting those things there that I was just explaining before, and then it's proposed is that there agrees in principle to propose change in purpose of part of the local purpose reserve esplanade at Ngāti Parikawa Drive, Whairoa, to local purpose reserve utility for the area shown in image 3 of that attachment that got circulated. So I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has anything to add to that. I'll ask me.
We have any questions?
He pātai ki au, Tiamana.
Okay. I just, the recommendations, there's 3 recommendations.
I have a pātai chair.
Aha.
I have a pātai.
Oh, thank you. Yes, go ahead, Tuck. Thank
Tēnei pātai e pāna ki te whakapiri. Just in the engagement part of the proposal, e pāna ki te kōrero tahi ai te Kaunihera ki a Tūwharetō Māori Trust Board and to the local hapu. So I was just wondering which local hapu did the officers engage with?
Pōkura and Pukawa.
Oh, ka pai. Ngāti Pōkura. So yeah, that iwi or that hapu is Ngāti Parikawa. So just to, if we can, we reflect their name would be always good. I was just wondering what was their engage, like what did they respond with?
There was a verbal in support of the concept and proposal there. Yeah.
So both the Trust Board and Ngāti Parikawa agreed to the proposal?
So Trust Board, they're still working through that with the change in their staff. But yeah, they're aware of the proposal and the feedback that we'd had from the other hapu.
Oh, so the feedback from the other hapu, what did they say?
That was an in support in principle. Yeah, verbal okay is what I've got in my emails. So I wasn't at the meeting, but yeah, I understand that there was the okay to the concept about the classification.
Oh, ka pai. Ngā mihi, that's all my questions.
The land that we're speaking to, that land is all currently under TDC. There's no dock land involved in it. There's no, hauhunga rules not involved in it. It's all TDC land.
That's correct.
Brilliant. I just had a question around the aesthetics, which you'll probably speak to a little bit later. I don't know if you will, but just being a resident here at I was about to say Parikawa in Whairoa, we're just really aware of the environment that we live in. And I know that Clint and John both came out here earlier in the year and had a discussion with us around this engagement and the processes around the actual building. The only concern that we have is the building itself, and I understand that buildings are not necessarily pretty in any way, shape or form, but is there a possibility that the fauna and flora that's currently present within Whairoa, i.e. the native fauna and flora, is replicated when the planting is undertaken and that the landscaping is reflective of the actual environment that we're sitting in? These are things that are probably already on your radar, but I just wanted to reiterate that these are the concerns of the community. When anything's built, we would like to look at the current nature or reserve and make sure that the plants that are present there currently are replicated again when the building is built.
Yeah, I'm happy to note that, and this is that is definitely part of the actual design stuff. When it comes to that phase, it'll be something that I know our reserves manager is really hot on in respect of those types of things. So yeah, so that's definitely something that will come into the design phase of the project.
Brilliant. And during that design phase, that detail there that we just discussed, that will be presented to the community during the engagement process. Is that correct?
Not in terms of the classification of the reserve or the change in purpose proposal, but through the design phase, if it is supported, that's that next phase that will come along in terms of that conversation. So the reserve management plan sets out some stuff in there in terms of the way we deal with our trees and vegetation, and that would be the guidance, and I would expect that there'd probably be some conversations from our Parks and Reserves team in that space.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gemma.
Thanks, George. Any other questions? I'll put the recommendation in as printed. Somebody like to move that, please?
Yes, I move, George.
Thanks, George. Second.
Ka tautoko au e te tiamana, tautoko.
Kia ora te takenga. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Makes a lot of sense to me, that whole suggestion. I know the community will be very happy to see it go through. Moving on, 4.3, the monthly update, and Peter, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Clint. Good
Welcome
afternoon,
again.
all
Good
board
afternoon.
members. I take it as everybody has read meeting minutes. It was just a quick rundown I did just as we went into lockdown. I'm just going to quickly run through them. So we had long discussions with Downer. They've agreed and they've implemented their level 3 health and safety regulation documentation, and they will be back at work on the 6th of September, coming next week, Monday. They will move into Tureti Place and Ratou Street. Rangapui, they will also move in there as soon as we get PKV out on site as well next week, to come and do some stump grinding. But as you can see through that report, we've got about 600 meters of curb and channel that's open at the moment now. So there's enough work for the guys to get in on next week. Just before lockdown, we have done some letter drops to businesses in around Peangas Road for the work that needs to start there. I have discussed it with Andy and the comms team, and we think the only other way we can do this during level 3 is we will do a Turangi Connect, a media release, saying that the guys will be starting next week again, and just informing everybody of Downer moving into the streets in the areas. And other than that, the replanting program, as I said, is underway. All the trees and everything has been procured for package 1. It's sitting at the Parks and Reserve depot in Taupo. That letter has also been compiled and ready for to be sent out. But as I said, we'll do a Turangi Connect now, a media release that we want to start in the Rangapuia Place with the trees. We will get TDC people out there next week to go and mark where the trees needs to be planted. And we have lined up the subcontractor to start with that as well, as soon as possible. Then on package 2, we have done all the markings of all the curb and channel that needs to be replaced. And we have scheduled in that we want to go and do package 3 and 4 as well, sometime next week, just to go and do a measure up and see where we're heading to cost-wise. But yeah, that's just a quick rundown. I don't know if anybody's got any questions on it.
I've got a quick question, Peter.
Yes.
Just regarding re-sowing the berms with grass seed, will that be done with a spray on or just will the seeds just be scattered on top and kind of rolled in?
No, it's got to be on with a spray on.
Spray on. Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So just through you,
Right,
Chair, Peter, just on Pihanga, when they start on that one, are they going to close that road?
No, the TM documentation states we're just going to work. We're going to put out cones. We're not going to stop any movement of traffic. We won't block any roading there. We went and looked at it. Everything is in place, so we won't stop any traffic there. Everything has been set out, and there will be cones and barricades all over, but no traffic, no stopping of any traffic there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem.
Chair, just a question. That's Tom. Oh, thank you for that, Peter. I'm very pleased to hear you talk about the communications that we'll put out. I'm hoping that can be in a Facebook form as well, so John and I can share that message, just to reassure the community about this work carrying on, because what we're seeing quite often at the moment is people are interpreting rules very differently, and they're quite often saying things or having opinions. So if we can preempt that by saying this is what's happening and we're allowed to do it, etc., that would be really, really useful.
Okay.
Just a general question though, Peter, just in terms of the progression of the packages, I'm just curious in terms of how we're progressing through them. So I always knew that we would commence in the different packages relative to where they were, but if there are still things that are going on in Rangipoia, which is package 1, and we're progressing with 2 and 3, how do we ensure that actually we are completing packages sort of before we're getting too far ahead? You got any thoughts around that?
So what we've discussed as well is for package 1, as you said, we're still going back to Rangipoia Place. It's just the finishing touches in Rangipoia Place, and then it's the sealing. The few tree roots that we've identified. So as I said previously, that's almost like a lesson learned. We will carry that through to all the other packages. So that's why I'm getting PKV back to come and do the stump grinding on those ones and move through all the other streets. There's only a couple that we've picked up that there's some tree roots that needs to be grinded down. And we'll take this and move it into package 2 as well. So that's why I haven't gone, we've only done Milwaukee Place with the cutting down the trees. I'm not going to go too far ahead with the tree removals. So we want to incorporate the tree removal with the downer team. So we work together and find the solution and get it sorted as we go, as we cut down trees. So, but I agree, we are coming back for that, but the rest of them we won't be going back to those ones. As we go, we'll get everything sorted and completed.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Peter. Thank you, Chair. That was all.
Kia ora,
Thanks, Tom. Yep, George.
Peter, kia ora, Peter. Awesome work. I know what you're doing it's just been awesome, and seeing the impact that's happening around town is just really, really wonderful. I love the way it looks at the moment. Just a question, which is probably on everyone's minds. Are we sitting in budget? Just mindful of the fact that Tonganui talked about packages 1, 2, and 3 all happening concurrently at the moment. I'm just wondering, are we sticking within budget? Are there any concerns around that?
We are still in budget on package 1. As we progress, I'm having a look at everything and I will get back to everybody. But as it was mentioned before my time with, we might not do package 5. We're not saying we're not, but as the packages grow and everything, the costs and everything, we are eating into package 5's costs or budget. But to date, so we're still in budget, yeah. I will let everybody know as we get closer to the contract value for package 1, if I put it that way. And I will let you know if there's any concerns or why we're going over the value and all of that. But I would put all of that into a documentation for everybody.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, kia ora tātou everyone. Kevin Stroman here, Clint if I can.
Kevin. just add to that. Yeah, Peter covered that really well, but it was always under the intention that we probably wouldn't get through all of the stages, all the packages. 5 was always known as we went through, but the key thing is we would plan to do package 5, and we might go through a separate process to see how we go about delivering that. So certainly all of the plannings will be underway for package 5 as well. And we will know by the next time we come to see you with the packages 3 and 4 of we'll have a better estimate of what we can actually produce with the money that was gifted to us. Kia ora. Thanks, Kevin. Any other questions? Okay, can I have someone? Oh, sorry. Yep, Rob.
Yeah, I'm just Peter. I'm just wondering, with the COVID a week and a half, that would that affect our time frame for finishing? It will get pretty tight with the government, where you have to return whatever money hasn't been used for the shovel ready.
That's Rob. We had a discussion about that with Downer, and that's why we want to go into next week to go and look at package 3 and 4 as well, and 5. See the amount of work that's in it. We want to do a schedule incorporating all of them and see where that takes us to, and if we will be able to finish all package 5 or all packages in this time frame. If not, I will come back to everybody and say, listen, we need another couple of months, and then we have to discuss it. Then I'll have discussions with Kevin and who else is needed to see how we can work around this.
Yeah, and second, Peter, on Turangi Street, they were actually working on Tuesday. Down there, there were 2 trucks from Downers, and they were working on the curbing. So that sits outside the framework that you just said.
Yes,
so will be starting Wednesday.
No, so they're starting next week, Monday. What they did this week, they only went to tidy up some items because I received some service requests.
Okay.
And there was some concrete and flooding at somebody's property. So that is why the team was out there to go and sort that out for them.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, kia ora tātou again, Kevin here. Just to add to Rob's first question there, the team back in the office have been, back at home actually, not in the office, have been chatting to MB around the timeframes, and it looks likely that they will extend our existing timeframes, just not the money. So we should be covered in that respect, but we're just working through that. Kia ora.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kia ora. Any other questions?
So sorry, through the chair, Kevin, just on this, when this program's over, then what happens next? Obviously, to the streets that haven't been done. Obviously, our repair and maintenance isn't. Personally, it's not enough money. What are we going to do going forward? Are we going to change the way we do this? Like, how are we going to get more money?
So through the chair again, that will be a discussion that you'll have working our way through either an annual plan or an LTP process, and understanding what we're wanting to achieve over the short to medium term to long term.
So again, just through the chair again. So Kevin, do we know then? Like, I know we've done these 5. Have we got a plan already for like the rest of the streets? I know we haven't got the money, but have we already got a plan, or do we have to do one?
Through the chair, we'd have to probably do one. What we've done is the 5 were I think you realise that was from the existing worst areas, and the areas going up to from the worst through to the medium type ones that needed to be dealt with. They're all in that package 5. Anything outside of that would probably be under a proviso to date of what we have been doing in the past, which is working our way through them. So again, under instruction through an annual plan or a long-term plan process, we can look at furthering those as well. But it would probably be in advance of anything extra planning than what we've currently got in other areas as well. Because what we're currently or have been doing prior to this is the type of planning that we're doing in Kinloch and Mangakino and Taupo as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Peter and Kevin, and thank you for the questions. Team, we'll move the recommendation. Please, can we have a mover?
Mover, Robert.
Robert, thank you. Seconder?
Yep, John.
Thank you, John. Everybody in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? It's agreed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter.
No problem.
And we've got next item 4.4, which is the monthly update. And Zach, I wasn't expecting to see you here at this meeting, Zach.
Oh, kia ora. I hope it's a good surprise.
Oh, nice surprise.
Depends.
Just a couple. Oh, excuse, there's a lot of noise and work is going on around the local neighbourhood today, and there's one particular that you might hear interrupting me. There's just a couple of updates that aren't necessarily reflected in the copy that you will have, because the updates that I only just got between now and having written September's report. The Turangi-Tongariro Park sports facility is, there was a slight hiccup where they've had to change something with the building consent. So that's delayed things ever so slightly, but not in a huge way. So as soon as that, what's the phrase that they use? Can't remember. But anyway, once that amendment, that's the word I was looking for, once that amendment's done, then they'll go back to procuring a contractor again. And as per the last meeting where John brought up with Te Kapua Park, the steering group's just given instruction to keep moving with the concept that they've got to get it back on track, basically. So that's that. All the other things remain the same. One little note about those banners that we were looking at doing in those vacant shops. I followed up with the graphic designer who had said, oh, that's right, I'd forgotten about that. So that had fallen off the table for a little bit there, but it's back on now. And yeah, nothing else really, still waiting on those bilingual signs to arrive. And that's that, nothing too unusual with service requests, just a continuation of what's normal.
Thank you, Zach. Do we have any questions for Zach?
Got a through the chair. Kia ora, Zach. I just wanted to know if there was any updates in regards to that sign for Omori, the liquor ban sign.
Oh, kia ora, George. I'm just trying to think where it last sat, because a lot's happened between now and when I last spoke with Grant. It was getting hot potatoed around a little bit, but they had a copy of this. The last update that I have is Rob provided me with the information that was on the last sign, and I forwarded that to Grant, who was going to look at having a sign made up and put in that place that was discussed.
If I could jump in there, Clint, I'm not sure who's doing DIY, but
sorry, that's me.
Yeah, so don't worry, that'll be up, because the liquor ban will, I presume it's a summer thing. Yep, so it'll be everything will be up, and yeah, everything will be up around by then anyway. So we'll make sure that's sorted.
Brilliant. Thank you, John.
Are you finished? Through the chair, we were looking at that Turangi-Tongariro Park in regards to the fencing to start things moving. There's still a lot of damage down there. Where were we with that? I know someone was looking into it, don't know who, and we were looking at contractors, but have we had any further movement on that?
Oh, sorry, there's a lot going on here. So this was brought up at the last meeting, like it was questioned. As far as it sits with us, there was nothing more was happening. A question got asked as to whether or not parks could just remove what's there, or whether they wanted to leave what was there. I can't remember what the answer was given for that one.
I think, Zach, if I can help, it was the new fencing, Rob, wasn't it, that was allowed for in the budget, and he was trying to pull that forward to try and stop the vehicle access. Was that was the conversation, wasn't it?
I think it would be a good thing in terms of public safety. That's what I brought it up under last meeting, and we still have a lot of kids down there training. Well, not this week because of COVID, but the use of it is sort of intensified. But the vehicles are still going on there. Plus, I think it'd be a good thing to have before the building of the sports centre down there is done. So, get that done and then move to the next one. And that would put a protection around that new building. That's why I sort of wanted things to sort of, or an update, because that money is just sitting there, I presume.
So we'll probably do an update via email, I think, Rob.
Yeah,
I don't think either of us got the answers at the moment, so
Yeah.
we'll do that. We'll come back to you.
Kia ora.
So
Thanks,
just
John. Thanks,
through the chair as well. Yeah, we're hearing a lot of things about the park and obviously people driving on it, etc. Are there any signs that we can put up to actually tell the public to dob these people in and give a number? Because it seems to be that it's a known fact that people are doing it, but nobody seems able to know where they're supposed to tell somebody about it, if you know what I mean. Like they'll put it on Facebook and put a number plate. I think it's better that we put signs up there and say it is actually illegal to be on this park or whatever. And if people see them on the park, here's what you need to do, which is a contact number or whatever.
Agreed, John. I think that works, and also with the alleyways. I know we're looking for an update on those. The alleyways here, we had the sergeant talking about it, Tere. It's been a month now, and I don't know if anything's sort of come up or ideas or anything else like that, but that still becomes an issue. The police are still chasing these bikes through town. We had an accident in Turangi place through to Hiahia, where two bikes actually crashed into each other and one person went to hospital.
Wow.
Might be justice, but at the end of the day, they are still using these areas, including our park, as thorough affairs, and things are getting dangerous. That's me.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rob. We need to.
Chair.
Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
Sorry, Clint. Kia ora koutou, Kulabi O'Brien, taku ingoa. I'm sorry for jumping in without the proper mihi, but I'm new to the community development and engagement role, so sorry for being a bit informal with the tikanga here. I just thought I'd quickly jump in. Helmuth is in my team, and he's done a little bit of work on around those alleyways. He's been speaking with John Malpass from the police. He's got some photos, and he was planning on being down there to actually start that work, but COVID obviously a couple of weeks ago scuppered that. So hopefully I can get some more information for you, hopefully in person, actually meet you and be able to talk a little bit more. But I know it's a priority for the board, and as John alluded to earlier, I'm really keen to get a bit more work done on that. So hopefully we just have to do a site visit to be able to get that sorted. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, Libby, and welcome. And our kaupapa is very informal here, so no worries at all. It's good to see you. Any other questions, comments? Then someone move, please, that the board receives this report. Mover?
Yeah, John, mate.
John, thank you. Seconder?
Seconder, Rob.
Rob, thank you, Rob. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the final item today is members' report. And because I can't see you all sitting around the table, if you could just, if you got something to add, please just chip in.
I'll stop sharing now if you want, Chair, if that's okay. Is there? Yep.
Thank you, John. Yep.
Be safe, John.
Okay. Who'd like to kick off?
So just through the chair, I'll just talk very quickly about the topical one, which is Three Waters at the moment, which obviously I'm getting a lot of people coming through just trying to get some questions and answers. So council have put out a questionnaire today, which if anybody, you might not have seen it yet, but maybe start getting people to start looking at that. It's just 9 questions as to whether people even understand what it's about. And we've asked for council, by the end of today, there will be an email that will come out with 3waters@tdc.co something. That'll be out at the end of today. So again, if people do contact you, we're asking that you send that email to that address. And also you can give that address to people if they want to actually talk about Three Waters, because obviously we need to start gauging what people think about this.
Yep, good point. Thank you, John. Who's next? No.
Sorry,
So
through
I'll
the,
go
can I just ask the question of John?
Yes.
With the email address, John, is that 3 as in THERE? Now I can't even spell.
It'll come out to TTCB today. I'm not 100%. I've seen it. I think it's the letter 3, but
So
I will
it's
send it to you today.
So it's 3 waters, the full word, THREE waters, WATERS, and Taupo.
Sorry, mate, I'm just on with the board at the
GOVT.
moment. You know, down in Turangi-Tongariro, there's the part
Thank
there's
you.
that fencing to go in.
Yeah,
John.
John, you're not on mute.
He's
Yourself
not
on
on
mute,
mute.
mate.
Do you know when it's due to go in?
John.
Sorry.
So
Sorry.
3 waters, THREE waters at taupo.govt.nz.
Thank you.
you.
Mr. Chair,
Te takinga.
ka titiro au ki te whakapai whenua. Really looking forward to the removal of the roots. He maha ngā tangata o te hapuri. A lot of community members have tonoed, have queried about all the roots that have been left I waihotia mai ngā rākau e tūana. So a lot of the root systems have been left. Some of them impacting on the infrastructure of fences, driveways, and but just really looking forward to seeing that mahi being done. Number 2, just a pātai had another couple of members, so they generally pay their rates in person on the last day being the 20th. So will there be an extension for them to pay their rates, or how does that work, or will there be penalties?
Yeah, kia ora tākina. So yeah, we've given the assurance that there will be no penalties for a further month to allow people to come in and pay, and obviously we'll reassess that as well if level 3 continues on.
Oh, beautiful, perfect. The next one is Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. What has the council doing in this space around Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori coming up?
I think we're probably all looking at each other about who's best to answer that question, but there is a program Te Takinga that we'll be working to. We're just starting a Te Reo class as an example throughout the organisation, which many of us are going through in collaboration with the DHB and others. And we've also starting waiata classes as an example. So there's a whole lot of work that we're doing in that space. But specific for Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, we'll certainly be doing a whole lot of public-facing comms as well, and so that'll be coming out and as we lead into that week.
Oh, perfect. So it'll be a district-wide approach, eh? Ka pai.
Absolutely.
One idea in the future, perhaps we might be able to get our kura involved, whether it's whakarewa or te kura o hirangi. I think that'll be good. Just a matter of interest. Ratou, ngā kaimahi o pihanga in tū whare toa, you've maybe all been aware of the data that came out of the drive-through. 215 on the first day, 328 on the second day, and 376 on the third day. So well supported by our community. The first drive-through in all of Lakes DHB. So I was wondering, Chair, if maybe we perhaps write a letter to Pihanga and Tūwhare Tō Health in acknowledging that the work that they did or have done during this time and continue to do on this Friday and Saturday in Taupō and also at Hirangi Marae.
Tautoko, Te Takinga, that's a great idea. I'll be happy to pin that up. Yep.
I think through Mr. Chair, the idea of Te Takinga is around the working with the schools. I think for future years, that's absolutely something that would be good. I think Libby's team sort of introduced herself before. Her team will be very much in that space, and we're looking at employing someone in and around Turangi to do a whole lot of community building, and I think that's probably sits within that team. Libby probably undersold herself before, but she's got a huge pile of work to do, but Turangi is going to be one of her focuses, and I think very fortunate she's a Kuratou girl, went to Kuratou school, so is passionate about the southern end of the lake as well.
Right.
would
Right.
be tour difference.
Anybody else?
Can I just go through the chair? Te Takinga was speaking around, Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. I just want to also highlight that for where I grew up, we don't celebrate a week, we celebrate the whole month. So we call it Mahuru Māori, September is Māori. The other thing is this, as part of Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, my challenge to the councillors, there is a thing that everyone can sign up to, and it's called the Māori Moment. And it's a moment in time that occurs, I think, on the 14th of September. You just sign up and say that you're going to commit to it. It's reading a book, singing a song, doing something playful, but using Te Reo Māori in that context. The reason why I'm suggesting this is because I would love to capture or have some type of social media that honours our staff delivering Te Ao Māori, Te Reo Māori. There's no focus on our staff. And yet our staff are the front-facing individuals who carry this conversation out to the wider community. So if we are taking part in this, which I really encourage the council to do so, then at least capture some of those conversations or some of those fun moments that happen with Te Reo Māori, because ultimately this language belongs to all of us, not to me, not to Te Takinga. It belongs to all of us. And I just think that for us to whakamana or to give prestige to our language, our native language, we should be demonstrating or seem to be in that space. So if that could be done, I don't know whether it's a community development team who just does something, it could be a joke. I don't know what that looks like, but if we could be seen to be actually demonstrating to the community that we are in and on board this waka, I think it would also strengthen the relationships that we currently have within the wider community and also specifically amongst our iwi and hapu.
Love to see Libby doing a TikTok in Te Reo dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually heard her volunteer to do one right now.
Can
Yeah, I
I
don't want to
just
show
through,
off too much.
can I just through the chair go back to something that Tataka just said about the rates? And obviously he wasn't aware that we had extended that. Can I just confirm, because I've obviously read it and I'm not sure where I've read it. I know it's come through a communication that I get. I'm just concerned that the TTCB didn't get these communications. How's that?
So I can't confirm whether it went specifically to TTCB, John, but it certainly went out in our wider comms, and so was all over our Facebook pages and everywhere else, Connect and everywhere else that we've been able to communicate through level 4. So that came out last week, but I couldn't confirm. I'm just madly scanning my phone while I'm talking to you. I couldn't confirm if it went out to TTCB directly. And if it was an oversight, then
yeah, I'm just going to. That's what I'm going to say is that my concern always is that when we come back to this meeting, I don't know what everybody's seen and what they haven't, because I've seen it and I'm assuming that they get CC'd into it if it relates, and something like that. I know it came from Andrew when I read it. I just think they need to be CC'd into that sort of thing just because of the community questions.
Yep, I think fair call. And if we didn't on that one, then please accept my apologies.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Are we going all right? Anybody else?
I think it's Rob here, Clint. Just to acknowledge that we've had a few number of our old people pass on down here. The latest was a man by the name of Ernie Fuse, long-standing individual, worked in the mines, the mill, and on the projects down here. Died at 90. It's been quite hard for families down here. I've been talking with their family and other families over the process in terms of the tupapaku or the body being picked up and it doesn't get returned until it's been cremated, and they couldn't understand the process and stuff like that. So we've been helping them through that. We had one burial today, a person that's been put on ice for about a week. So, just to acknowledge our people that are mourning at the moment, the whānau pani, that we acknowledge them. I've had a lot of people just asking, that's why I brought up about the updates on the alleyways, because a lot of people are at home and they are doing this walking around and exercising, that a lot of these, it's just too dangerous for them, and down to the parks and things like that. So hence why I brought that up again, that I'd hate to think that, month after month we bring it up, we talk about it, we update it, but nothing actually we're not walking the walk when things are not happening, as opposed to we're talking it, and the talk is great, but the actual movement isn't. And trying to tell our people down here about that, it's very hard. And also our whānau over the hill in Ngāti Hikairo over in Rotaida. I hope these messages are getting out to them. I ring my auntie over there and update her, and she passes it amongst the people of the Papakai and Otuko. But I didn't know about the extension and stuff like that, so I'll get on to her and let her know, because a lot of those people do pay by going into the office, and because they don't know how to work the computer, or sort of communications, just like myself being late to the meeting, sorry. But yeah, just keeping people sort of au fait, and the Three Waters has come up quite a bit. They've been getting these strange messages about rates going up by $1,000 to $500, and they're asking me why, and I'm saying, well, at the moment it's not here yet. It's at a discussion stage, so it'll be good to see what the council bring out, so we can actually just pass that on to our people around the Turangi and our Tongariro ward. So yeah, I think it's just being safe and passing that word of keeping that 2.5 feet distance, and just keeping our families safe. Yeah, this strain is quite a bad one, so just showing the urgency and talking to people and just keeping them in light. Hence my last message to you before we went into COVID was, how can we help? And I think it may be that we come up with a plan in areas like where George is, being able to relate to those communities and having a hookup of people with a portfolio of phone numbers that George could ring there, myself with people over Ngāti Hikairo over there, Tākina with the whānau around here, and we actually split the zones, so we're actually talking to them. So we've got a like a backup plan or a system in place where we can get out to our constituents, not only our Māori side, but also our European side. There's Chinese, there's all types of people and nations here. So, you know, being able to get that word out to them and they don't feel isolated and separated. Yeah, I think that's maybe something that the board looks at, or I don't even mind taking on myself and working on it. And then we can update our, so if anything does come like another COVID emergency, we can just zip into that mode, open our portfolios and contact these people and tell them that we're here, that if we can, we'll answer their questions. If we don't, we'll be able to get the answers from our from Taupō or wherever. That's me.
Great idea. I'd be keen to see that rolled out, Rob. Yep. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, if that's it then.
I'll just give sorry for the chair. Just a real quick update. And I know that it's been some time since we spoke about it, but the visit that was proposed to Bulls and to Christchurch, I just sent through just prior to the meeting an email to John, just highlighting and asking John rudely to have a conversation with the two people who are best placed to support us in that space. So Bulls has said yes, and that's absolutely awesome. And so has the person who actually counts at Christchurch City Council. It's just the people beneath them that need to have those conversations with John. We've got tentative dates and timings set out with them. Again, we're just waiting on, it's actually Christchurch City Council. We're just waiting on them to say yay to what we've proposed. But Bulls is locked in, and then I'll leave that with John until such time as he's had some defined or definitive feedback. God willing, that's sooner rather than later. But again, also very aware that we've got this moment occurring around us, and I don't know what the future holds. But God willing, it will be better than what we're currently experiencing. The other thing I wanted to speak to is exactly what everyone else has been bringing up, John as well as Rob. The Three Waters. I have been receiving phone calls, and I wrote it down. It's causing me distress was one. And the amount of information is so the amount of information is so much that I actually don't understand what I'm supposed to be reading. So one of these people said to me, I can't understand what they're talking about in regards to costs. So what they're saying is the government has put out that information that was floated out there earlier, which was sort of like a coercive type moment for the rest of the community to understand. This is what happens if you don't get on board with Three Waters. Your rates increase to God knows what. They were astronomical. This is what people are fixating on. And unfortunately, again, this comes back to the conversation we had at the earlier meeting, last month's meeting, where central governments are dictating to us on a local level, and it's local level government that's having to deal with the issues that are being caused at central government. So, you know, this is the thought processes in the community. We, as in the council, are the issue, not the government. And I understand that there's a whole conversation that needs to occur around this, but the main concern I'm feeling from the residents around here is they don't understand what the costs are going to look like if and when we go through this process, and that seems to be the biggest issue for them. So I don't know how we deal with that, but again, I will use what Gareth and John have suggested, the email address, so that they can get, you know, a well-informed opinion around this. But yeah, I've sent the video that Zane originally sent out, trying to educate people in the space, but it's still causing a lot of, the word I want to use is mistrust. And it's not towards central government, it's towards us. So I don't know how to mitigate that going forward, but yeah, that's something that's definitely on my radar. And when they're talking about Three Waters, it's our faces they're seeing. It's not Jacinda.
So George, there's part of the reason why we're doing the survey as well, is the survey does make it really clear that this is a government project, and it also talks about the last question we laboured with council the other day, but is quite clear, saying, look, there's some costs if you don't do anything, but you keep it local. But there's also some costs if you put it into a regional, to a bigger entity. And this is what it is. What do you prefer? So it's trying to get that, get the information, but also get some of the facts out there as well, so that people actually understand just the things you're talking about. The other thing that we've done is we've created a information page, if you like, on our website. So if people Google Three Waters Taupō, or go onto the council website, there's a specific tag there which has a whole lot of information on it. So the specific dollars and case for change for Taupō, in a FAQ page that we've set up as well. So trying to do everything that we can to communicate as clearly as possible without trying to own it either, because it's not ours. You know, it's central government. The council's got till the end of September for us to provide our feedback through to central government. I don't know what that is likely to be yet. We've had two workshops with council, both of which were confidential simply because they dealt with staff matters. But we have another couple coming up. I think the next one is about the 9th of September, I think, top of my head, which is public. So anybody's welcome to come along to that. Just maybe trying to find the date as I go. Might be Tuesday the 7th is the next one at 2:00 in council chambers in Taupo, assuming that we're in level 2. If not, then it will be online. So that's another way that people can obviously get some of that information if they're interested. I'd certainly invite the board to that. If, you know, it would be worthwhile coming along and listening.
And just through the chair as well, you're not alone, George. The councillors are in the same boat that you are, that we don't want to be seen to be owning this. We obviously don't, but it's how we get this out to the public. And we're discussing that as well, is that it's a really hard one, because personally, you know, I feel railroaded in that respect, because, you know, we're getting all the information, and at the end of 8 weeks, we're supposed to just give everybody's feedback, when to my mind, people don't even know what it's about, you know. So I get what you're saying, and that's why we keep saying at council as well, what can we do? The survey is one thing, this email is going to be the next thing. And I just think for us as people, we need to be getting people to get involved. If, you know, they don't have to know everything about it, they just need to get a bit more, you know, what are your questions, if you like, more than anything, and then send them to us. You know, it's got to be that engagement again. If nobody gets engaged in this, all we can go is, actually, we've got all the information, nobody really said much, and then the government's going to make the decision. So yeah, it's a hard one. I know, I was just talking about it to council today. I'm getting it all over the place, you know, and it's just trying to distinguish the fact that we're not doing it. It's actually central government.
That's it. You're right on target, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. That's everybody. Then I'm going to pass to George to close for us today, please, George. Mute.
Help if you turn it off mute. Mā te rā e kawe mai, te ngoe ia rā. Mā te marama e whakaore i a koe i Waingapō. Mā te ua e horoi o mā harahara. Mā te hau e pupuhi te pā kahu ki roto i tō tinana. I roto i o hikoitanga i te ao, kia whakaara koe ki te humari e a tāhua hoki o aura mō ake tonu atu, e rangi whakairi ake ki runga kia tina, haumi e hui e. Tai.
Kia ora, thank you for your attendance, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you back around the table next month. Right. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Do this.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks so much.